Hi, you're watching Cape Media News. I'm Gabrielle Rosson, your host. It's my pleasure today to introduce to you artist Kevin Lasit of Sandwich, Massachusetts. How are you today, Kevin?
Today I'm doing quite well, and it's wonderful to talk with you this morning.
Thank you for being here. Kevin is here today, you guys, because Kevin was diagnosed with COVID-19 and lived to tell about it, thank goodness. And I've invited him here today to talk to us a little bit about his experience, how he got it, if he was tested, and how he's doing now. So, Kevin, can you take us back to kind of the beginning of this whole experience for you?
Of course. And I just want to put out there, I do have a cough drop. I got my nice hot tea, but I do apologize if I have to cough. I'm still dealing with the COVID cough.
Yeah,
But
no apologies. No apologies needed. I totally understand that you are still recovering from this virus.
Yes.
So please take as much time as you need.
So, back in early March, I work at Sandwich High School, and I'm the drama director there for the club KTC, Knights Theater. And we were getting ready for launching a chorus line. And, I don't really know where I was exposed to COVID-19. I can only assume I'm in vast numbers of kids at the high school, but I have no evidence of that. I really don't go outside much of that domain unless I'm going to an audition somewhere in Boston, but I didn't. And so I don't know where I really contracted COVID-19, but I do know that school was closed officially at Sandwich High School at March 13th. And that weekend, I was just kind of, in survival mode, just making sure I had everything I needed for my family. And my concern, was for my wife, Melinda, because she has horrible asthma and weak lungs. And this past December, she actually had a respiratory infection, and they didn't really quite know what it was. So it lasted for over a month for her. So I was really concerned about this COVID because it was like, wow, if she gets it, I don't know how well her lungs will do. So Monday comes around, the 16th, and I'm feeling okay, a little tired, but, mid-afternoon, I decided to take a nap because I was just feeling so spent. I didn't know if it was from the exhaustion of all the preparation and just my adrenaline kicking in and just wearing down. And then I wake up around 4:30 and I had a fever.
And then how did you know that you had a fever? And I hate to ask that because that's when you're sick, but did you feel like you had a flu suddenly, or were you just hot to the touch?
That day I was feeling, the entire day of Monday I was feeling pretty lethargic and tired, and woke up from the nap and I had chills and body aches. And so I got the thermometer and took my temperature. It was 101 point something. And my face just dropped, and I told my family I have a fever, and their faces dropped. And I said, look, hopefully it's just the flu, but I'm going to isolate myself in the other room. And so I put myself in the other room just as a precaution because I was still so concerned. If it was COVID, I cannot give it to my wife.
Right.
So I hunkered down, in a different room, and I used the downstairs bathroom just for myself. And I said, no one else use this.
Yeah.
And then my wife, God bless her, she took great care of me. And because every day that went on, I became more lethargic. And this went on. Yeah.
Let me ask you, what is your family dynamic? Obviously, you've mentioned your wife. Do you have kids in the house?
We have two children, our son, Sky, who's 20, and our lovely daughter, McKenna, and she's going to be 18 soon.
Is she? So she is senior?
Yes, she is. Yeah.
Sorry, she's probably, I have a senior too, so we're we're
Yeah.
all kind of mourning the loss of
Yeah.
the celebration, the school celebration. Hopefully you're planning something. I'm
Yeah.
still brainstorming how we're gonna make this special in our house. But okay, so it's you, your wife, two kids,
Correct.
and your wife was taking care of you. How many days did this go on, and how did it progress from there?
Well, it went through the following week and the fever never subsided. It was actually quite relentless.
Mm.
And, you know, there
And did
was
you
one,
have a test at this point, or did you
I
just
got
know?
I got the test on Saturday, March 21st.
Okay.
And,
What was that
and
process like? Where did you go? Did your doctor refer you somewhere? Did you do the drive-through? How did you, and what
yeah,
was the test like? Because
it,
a
it,
lot of our viewers, they just don't know these things other than what they've read.
yeah, well, it's quite interesting because I was speaking with my doctor, his nurses, and then my doctor once. And there, I guess what was rolled out to them to say, was, well, if your symptoms worsen, then
Mm.
come in. But, by that time on the 20th, which was Friday, I was pretty miserable because I've been sick since the 16th and it just didn't let up.
Right.
And like I said, it was getting worse and worse every day. But I didn't, what does that quite look like if your symptoms worsen?
Right.
And so I called back after hours because I really wanted the test.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did because I was connected to uh, the night shift doctor online. And he approved the COVID test for the following day, Saturday. So I went to Four Cs
Okay.
and, it was quite surreal. I never thought I'd see the world go through what we're going through right now in my lifetime,
Mhm.
let alone me driving to this center. You know, it was quite organized, and you pull up and they have all these tents and people in hazmat suits basically are just the ultimate protective gear.
Yeah.
And you have to keep your windows rolled up and then they hold up signs and it says, pull up to the next nurse. Then they'll instruct you what to do. Keep your window rolled up.
Mhm.
You approach the next check-in. That nurse says, we're going to swab your nose and I'll let you know when to roll down the window. So I'm kind of paraphrasing because I don't
Yeah.
remember exactly the wordage.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So
that
you
and
roll
the
down.
test is painful too.
I didn't know what to expect. I thought they were going to do a swab in my nose, but it actually went up to your sinus cavities, and it wasn't too painful, but it wasn't comfortable. But and it's quick,
Okay.
thankfully. So it was a little uncomfortable and just kind of shocking because I didn't know what to expect, and it was quite fast. And so you roll your window back up, and then they say adios. So
Yeah. And
and then
how quickly did you get your results?
I got the results back on the 27th,
Okay.
the following week of March. I'm sorry, the 26th.
Okay.
The 26th.
So you went on a Saturday, you got it back pretty soon, within a week.
Yeah, yeah, and that was quite shocking. Um, I got on the phone with the nurse, and she said, "I'm calling in regards to your results." Excuse me.
No problem.
And she said, your test came back positive for COVID-19.
Wow.
And it's just words you just, it was kind of like a horrible nightmare. Because by this time, we're hearing reports of how it's impacting people and whatnot. And you just don't know what level you're going to go. That's what's
Right.
so frightening about this
Right.
devastating virus. And so, you know, it was quite emotional. And yeah, my kids were very shocked and supportive, of course. And then I just kind of went back to the room after I told them. and sat down. I was just in shock, numb, and still having the fever, the chills, the aches. And whenever I had to walk anywhere or get up to even use the bathroom or attempt to take a shower, I felt like I was winded, like I just been through a marathon. Um, and then I had to sit immediately to kind of catch my breath. Um, and so I sat down. My wife came looking into the room. She didn't cross the threshold, but it was more than 6 feet apart.
Mm-hmm.
And we just stared at each other, and in silence. And I looked at her and I said, "I'm so sorry. I brought this into our house. I was trying to protect you."
Mm-hmm.
And we both started crying, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And she, of course, she's a trooper. She says, "Don't be silly. It's not your fault. You
Yeah,
just get better. Got to beat this."
that's
And
right.
I said, "You can't be near me. Just go, please."
Yeah.
And then, we're counting our blessings in so many ways. We have so many wonderful friends that are plugged into the hospital, career, uh, field, I should say. And one of our students' mothers is a nurse
Mm-hmm.
uh, at the Cape Cod Hospital, and she was checking in. Her name's Kimberly Peterson, and she was checking in with my wife every day, multiple times a day, since the 16th.
Mm-hmm.
She was like on it, and she even dropped over, Gatorade, Pedialyte, and, protein shakes, and
Yeah.
left it at the doorstep. And then she said, "Kevin, do you mind if I FaceTime you?" And this was Friday, the 27th, the day after I got diagnosed positive with COVID-19. And I said, "Sure, I'm up for it." So FaceTime came on, and it's been since the 16th, and so I was pretty weak.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to me at the time, I had already lost 17 pounds since the 16th,
Wow.
and so I was very weak.
Yeah.
And she took a look at me and says, "Kevin, you've got to go in. I'll let my coworkers know you're on your way.
Mm.
Melinda, take them to the ER." And so luckily we had some masks. I put the mask on, um, said my goodbyes to my children, you know.
That had to be scary. Very scary. I'm so sorry.
Well, it's like, do you say it? Did I say enough? You know, because you don't know. At the time, you just don't know. So get in the car. Sorry. We
Don't
get into the car.
apologize. I'm getting emotional just hearing this story because I have kids too, and this is every parent's worst nightmare, what you went through.
Yeah. And, at that time, I was just so spent,
Yeah.
physically, emotionally, my body uh, was just fighting it. And I had no idea to what lengths till I got to the hospital. So, but the mask that I had on, um, already fighting for air, with this virus.
Right.
And the mask felt like someone was actually putting their hand on my mouth, but I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't take it off. I refused to take it off because I did not want my wife to get exposed. She had a mask on too. We had the windows rolled down, and I had to put my head kind of leaning out of the window
Yeah.
just to try to get more air circulation going. And then we arrived at Cape Cod Hospital, and that was another just nightmare moment. It's like we look at each other, uh, say I love yous, and she says fight it, and we're praying for you, And so I get out of the car, shut the door, look back, and we've known each other for 32 years. We've been married, quite some time. So I've always done, the international sign for I love you. So I looked back one more time, just gave her the I love you sign.
Mm.
Walked into the ER.
Now she wasn't allowed to go in with you, correct?
No, no, yeah.
Okay. And so was that the process of getting checked in, they knew you were coming,
Mhm.
but did you still have to go through a process, or was your
No, they wheeled
confidential
me up,
stuff?
right. They put me in a wheelchair. Excuse me.
No problem.
They put me in a wheelchair, and I was brought into the ER immediately, into my own room. Um, and it was the glass doors, and immediately another nurse on the outside started taping up various pieces of paper. I guess there were warning signs and procedural um, guidelines of how to enter the room, exit the room, and deal with a patient with COVID-19, because I'm in the ER with different other, you know,
Right.
ailments. And
Right.
so they got to work pretty quickly on me. Temperature, blood pressure, and I still had the fever, of course. Um, and when it came time to withdraw the blood from me, I never, when you go get your blood for an annual checkup, it's maybe 2 vials, 3 at the most.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many vials came over,
Mm.
and different assortments of sizes. And some had liquid in them already, and my blood would get mixed with it, and they would shake it. And they
Mm.
put all these vials into a plastic bag and sealed it, and off it went for testing. Um, I had an x-ray done to see how the lungs were doing.
Mhm.
And, the night nurse, one of the night doctors, I should say, came in, and she put her hand on my shoulder, and she said, um, are you okay if we have to intube you? And I said, you have to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
She said, okay. Okay. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. If we have to go that route, you could be up for at least 10 days. I
Wow.
said, okay. So that was my welcome to the ER. Then she left. And then it was just another moment of like, wow, what is happening? And again, you don't, the fear of this deadly virus is, you just don't know which way you're going to go with it, you know.
Let me ask you this. Were you, because the media has continued, obviously, since day one, been reporting on this, and as the media has learned new things, they've reported new things. Were you paying attention to the media at this point, and did that contribute to your fear?
I was paying attention, but but not every night, and all the time. I was, before the shutdown at the high school, I was pretty busy trying to launch a show, because we had 2 weeks before opening this musical with 72 kids. So I was pretty much in work mode, and I was just thinking, um, and um, kind of with ignorance, oh yeah, we'll do the show, we'll close, and then we'll lock down, just kind of in la la land. I had no idea it was going to explode on us so quickly.
I think
And
we
so I was,
all felt that way. I think we
yeah,
all felt that way. And okay, so at this point, then you obviously knew it was serious because you were living through it.
yeah. And at the time, I knew that what I knew about COVID was it was hitting people in different ways,
Okay.
uh, even as far as like symptoms. And then a lot of people were passing from it, and then some people would rebound. And so, that's what I was holding on to, was this fear of, what are my odds here? I've got a coin flip, and I just pray to God there's, you know, it's a good toss for me, and because I still got a lot to do, and my
Right.
ultimate goal to be a grandpa,
Right.
someday. Want
Right.
to. So there I am in the ER, in this isolated room with all these papers posted to my window, and I'm by myself, and they walk off my blood, and doctor says, the potential of being put on a ventilator. And um, it's hard not to, and then you're just so weak. And um, so yeah, I broke down and just prayed, get me out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Please be with me, all my angels. And so, um, And then they wheeled me up to the second floor, the COVID floor at the Cape Cod Hospital, and immediately put on the oxygen. And I got some relief when the oxygen came in, and that first night was just kind of a blur, because I was very weak, still coughing, still had the fever, aches and pains and chills. They gave me Tylenol. I was hooked up to an IV. There were numerous bags in the IV, but I can't recall what was in the bags. The next morning, the doctor came in, wonderful doctor, and just an amazing staff in general, just all of them at the Cape Cod Hospital, just they took really good care of me. And the doctor, he said, okay, well, your blood levels are definitely off, and we're going to give you, you have double pneumonia, and we're going to give you antibiotics for that.
Wow.
And your kidneys aren't doing so well, so we're going to address that as well. And so my body, my organs were already kind of just fighting it, and they were weakening. And then the time went on, of course, and Sunday was the most challenging time for me in the hospital. My fever shot up to 103 point something. And
that's really hard on the mind. I mean, were you, and also to be kind of stuck in place. I mean, at least you probably felt like, okay, I'm in the safest place I could be. But I know that, the mind plays tricks on you at that point, because you're not thinking clearly. Fever that high.
Exactly. And how it hit me is, I'm an introvert, so I internalize things a lot, and so for me, how I handled it was I just got emotional, and just was very quiet, and letting the doctors and nurses do their job, and then every now and then when I had the strength, I would text my wife, let her know what's going on. Well, they gave me this, they're working on this. And I took a couple of naps, and I still had the fever. It was this temperature. I was keeping her up to date. Thank gosh for technology.
And she didn't have any symptoms, and she didn't get it, correct?
Interesting. Well, that second week I was still at home, self-care. She lost sense of smell and taste, and she started getting hives. And those are some of the symptoms for some people. Okay. But she never went in and got the test, but she was still in lockdown herself, and she had already been around the kids.
Right.
The kids seemed fine.
Yeah, my understanding is if one person in the family gets it, it's presumed that everyone in the family has it and should also quarantine as if they have it. So
and that's exactly what we did. That's exactly what we did. We're pretty sure everyone had it in the family. And so everyone, once I had it, it was a positive. We weren't going anywhere.
But they did not get it the way you got it, correct?
No, they didn't have the challenging symptoms as I was struggling with. Okay. Thankfully.
That's right. That's great.
So if anyone's going to take the brunt of it, I'll take one for the team. And so I did. But that Sunday night, I tell you, Gabrielle, I was, by then the night nurse came in, and she said, okay, well, we can't give you any more liquid Tylenol or the pills because your liver numbers aren't good. I didn't know what that meant, but when I got out of the hospital, I found out when I was released, my numbers were 79. The doctor said, Kevin, just so you know, when you were at your worst at the hospital, they were over 300.
Wow.
I'm not a doctor. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But 79 to over 300 is a pretty big gap there. So that's what I was dealing with. And so they couldn't give me any more Tylenol medication. So the nurse said, we're going to go old school and pack you with ice. And so she brought in about 10 ice packs on my head, behind my neck, on my chest and groin area, on my legs and my stomach and on the sides, and just covered me with ice. And there I was the whole night, just in ice, praying, that I would turn around. And will it turn around? Or is this going to progress? What is the hump for me? Right? And that threshold of it's going to go either one or two ways here. Luckily, by 5 a.m, the fever had gone down. I think it was 101. It went down to 101, which I'll take. And so, and then that day, the fever went down even more the following morning, and it kind of leveled off at 99. It would jump from 99 point something to back to 101. And that seemed to be the norm. And then I think it was Tuesday morning that during the day I wasn't having fevers. At night I would have 99.
Interesting.
And then that Tuesday morning, the doctor came in, and of course he's got his protective gear, the shield and everything. He just leans in at me and he goes, "You look good. So how do you feel?" And I'm spent, but I do feel better, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
He says, "Of course it does. Well, your numbers are improving." And I went, wow. So I that was my hump. That was the turning point for me.
Yeah.
Could have even got worse or kept going in
Right.
that negative direction. And or start to respond to the medications that they were giving me. And who knows? I'm sure they're doing that with everyone there, but who knows why some people pass and some people, improve.
Right. So, how many days were you in the hospital? When did you get back home?
I was in the hospital 6 days, and I was released on April 2nd.
And what kind of, usually when you get discharged, they give you discharge paperwork with, recommendations and suggestions on how to continue to treat your symptoms. What did they tell you to do?
Yes, I was still on magnesium pills because my magnesium levels were low as well. And so I had to make sure I was on that, my prescription. I was still dealing with a prominent cough at that time. And so I was prescribed a medication to suppress that. And then it was just basically just rest and stay hydrated. And so I was released. Excuse me.
No worries.
I still was dealing with the fever, sometimes during the day, sometimes at night, it would bounce and jump everywhere. And, at that time, you're back home, the celebration was kind of short lived because then you realize, wow, I'm still not out of the woods here.
And were you still contagious at that point?
Yeah, well, I still had to isolate myself. I was back in that room by myself, away from the family. And I think I had to stay in there for another I think it was another week, I believe.
So you got out of the hospital a month ago today, but your symptoms started almost 7 weeks ago, and you're still coughing.
Yeah.
So this has been a very long ordeal for you.
Yeah. I'm writing a blog about this, and I should post it today sometime. And I've been doing the numbers with the dates, and what I came up with was I got sick on March 16th, and I was released on April 2nd. And for me, knowing my own body and my energy and spirit, I felt better on April 26th, this past Sunday.
Okay.
And I even made a post on my Facebook saying, update from Kevin Lasit. Wow, today I can honestly say, for the first time, I'm really feeling so much better. And then if you look at that beyond from the release date to when I got sick, that came up to 41 days from getting the fever the first time
Hmm.
till the 26th of April, to say that to articulate, wow, I'm feeling so much better. So 41 days to get to this stage where I'm talking with you
Yeah.
and having a conversation, you know.
It's a long journey, and you still have, some healing to do. Um, do you think, did the doctors tell you if there would be any long-term damage to your lungs, or did they just basically say, just keep healing, keep getting better, you're going to be fine? What's the prognosis at this point?
So sorry.
No worries, no apologies.
I have a follow-up X-ray in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
I've had one already um, when I came home, when I was released. Um, and the lungs start to show some more clarity. It was looking better, but still, um, had some issues with the pneumonia. So
Mhm.
I go in again next month. I forget the date, but I go in for another X-ray to see the status of the lungs. But I tell you, excuse me, I feel so much better.
Yeah.
To just, it's evident that I could just speak with you without continue. I couldn't do this a week ago. That's why when you reached out to me, I said, well, how about next week? Because I was starting to feel myself get a little stronger, but um, and so I knew that another week would do me well to rest.
Well, and
Um,
I wanted to talk to you because, I think, you're humanizing this for us, because a lot of people every day, they're checking the data, the data, the data. And I think it's really important to put faces to these numbers, and to
yeah,
also to share your story, to give some hope, because
yeah,
a lot of people are living in fear. Um, and, fear can be a good thing. People should continue practicing social distancing and wearing their masks, but you're a success story. And so I really wanted to share that with people too, because I think, we're all really scared. And clearly, it is possible to beat this virus too.
yeah. It is.
So and you as an artist, I mean, you are the perfect person to be talking to. Do you have any words of advice, or words of wisdom, or words of encouragement for our viewers?
Yeah, we're just living in some very challenging times, and for me, it's been very emotional. I apologize because I'm very emotional because uh, like I said, this closed on March 13th, and I couldn't do chorus line, and then I got sick, so I didn't have a lot of time to process all the losses,
Mm.
because I was fighting for my life. And now that I'm getting more healthy and strong, and I'm not as fatigued, um, now I'm kind of dealing with the processing of these losses. Um, but the saving grace for me is, yeah, okay, there are a lot of losses, but at the same time, you know, like that wonderful saying, within darkness there is light. If we just focus on that, of course, it's going to be overwhelming and seem um, insurmountable. But we focus on the things we have, you know,
Mm. Mhm.
the small things. Um, for me to be able to get in the car and just turn on the radio and go for a drive with my window down and the air come in, that's a gift. My wife is okay. My children are okay. My dog's okay. and so I'm counting my blessings, counting my blessings, and I'm just looking forward to. I know that we have intelligent, capable people working on a cure or the virus. antidotes, I'm sorry, the vaccine.
Vaccines and
Yeah,
treatment.
they're
Yeah.
yeah, the treatments. Yes, they're doing amazing measures to make sure that the public can get back. So we just have to trust in that, and to get our world back and healthy, so we can get back to hugging each other. I'm very touchy feely. It's like it's hard to see people from a distance and not want to put your arms around them. And so for me, it's just counting your blessings. I'm so fast in life, and it's a matter of cranking out content constantly. And if not, you're looking for the next thing. And so for me, this has been a reminder of one of the pluses that we got a gift of just slowing things down and really kind of reassessing the
Hmm.
values of our lives and regrouping in a way of how we want to approach the new world.
Hmm.
And I think we can really make an impact in positive ways to, I hope our government puts some measures in place to, you know, prevent some of these things or get proactive on these things. So if another one comes, which is inevitable, they're a little bit more prepared, you know?
Absolutely. It's really good to hear that you had a good experience with Cape Cod Hospital, that they had their protective gear, because obviously we were all concerned about that. So I'm really glad to hear that. And I'm just so glad that your experience ended well, that you are on your way to recovery and have essentially recovered already, and it's just about just continuing that.
Thank
Um,
you.
absolutely, and thank you so much for sharing your story and your hope. And
Yeah.
I think our viewers will get a lot out of this. So thank you again, Kevin.
Thank
Uh,
you for reaching out. And I,
of course.
I told the doctors when they took my blood, I said, hey, anything I could do to help, just let me know. And then I haven't gotten a phone call yet, but they
Yeah,
know I'm able and willing.
awesome. Well, thank you again, and
Thank you,
continue
Gabrielle.
to keep healing.
Thank you.